Hello, guys, and welcome to the VitoGate PR Week 7. I'm going to be doing this solo today because uh, Josh is a little bit tired. He had a midterm today, he had a lab to finish, so he wanted to take the night off. So I thought, well, why not do it myself? So, um, let's get into my rant. I didn't pre-record, so I gotta talk a little quieter because it is 11:30 right now and don't want to wake up the wife. So I'm gonna throw out some stats and just a little bit of a ramble about half point PPR. Um, Christian McCaffrey has 6.5 points per game more than the next player in the league, which is Dalvin Cook, and he's done that with the toughest schedule for running backs, according to PFF. Now, I know a lot of you think, oh, PFF is garbage, right? PFF's trash. Well, I disagree, and so does a lot of NFL teams. They actually use it quite a bit. So the fact that PFF thinks that Christian McCaffrey has had the hardest running back schedule and he has 6.5 points more than the next player, man, he's not hit his floor, but he hasn't even hit his ceiling yet. Or it's not that he hasn't hit his floor, but he has not hit his ceiling yet. Um, and yeah, half point PPR. It's kind of crazy. I didn't really realize how much it would change the league. Um, I can just give one example. Let's compare Alvin Kamara to Mark Ingram. So Mark Ingram has 98.8 points on the season. Kamara's got 93.9. But that's with Kamara rushing for less yardage and having 2 touchdowns to Ingram's 7. So the fact that Kamara catches a ball in the backfield is huge in half point, and it's something that I never really grasped until I saw the numbers where Ingram has 5 more touchdowns, but he still only has 5 more points than Kamara. It just really boosts up those hybrid running backs that can do everything. The McCaffreys, the Camaras, the Cooks of the league, and even for possession receivers like Cooper Kupp, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin, they're really showing um, that those catches really matter for points. And yeah, there's my little rant. I'm sorry I didn't yell or scream this time. I'll try and do that next time. So we got a trade report here. I thought this GIF was fitting. On the right, you see kind of one Daffy Duck, and that's Nick. The wad of cash is Mark Ingram, and the Daffy Duck sticking his nose up in the air, that's the rest of the league. Because we don't want your overperforming trash, okay, Nick? So just quit shoving it in our faces. Anyway, Dylan and Josh made a trade. Dylan got Marvin Jones and a sixth round pick, and Josh got Cortland Sutton. So, yes, I reused the GIF because I didn't feel like finding a new one because it's 11. But Dylan got Marvin. He gets some depth for next year with his sixth round pick. So, and he's got a lot of receivers, so he's okay to sell one or two of them. And Josh gets a really good wide receiver 2/3. He's has a really great market share of the Denver Air game. He's got like plus 20% of the targets in every single week, and I think he has near 44 to 48% of the air yards for the Broncos. So, I mean, it's not that much of a prolific air game, but it's still pretty good to have those numbers in that offense, especially with Emmanuel Sanders there. And the other trade was Zach Ertz and T.Y. Hilton and a sixth round pick for Greg Olsen, Deshaun Watson, and a second round pick. So Nick obviously gets a tight end upgrade here with Ertz, and then he also gets a really nice receiver with Hilton. He has to pay 4 rounds, but I think that's really worth for him trying to get moving up in the PR and moving up in the rankings, especially giving up QB that he obviously has Lamar Jackson, so giving up his second QB makes it really worthwhile. And Sterling, he's just building up for the lottery next year. I don't think he really cares finishes this year, he might not want to be last, but he kind of feels like he's going to be in that bottom few. So he's building up for next year and trying to make a run. Um, Pickups and drops of the week. There hasn't been very many high profile ones. I've realized that the pickup of the week might be slightly cursed because we just called out Will Disley and he went down with an injury. We called Philip Dorsett a while ago and he also went down with an injury. So um, might not be great to be pickup of the week, but really the only pickup that made any sense and that worked out was my pick of Kirk Cousins. So try not to be a homer with my team, but the fact that Kirk Cousins was going up against the Eagles, it seemed like a pretty cake matchup, um, especially considering that the Vikings are super run heavy, but that's the Eagles' best defense is their run game compared to their secondary. That is like utter crap. I can't believe they're so bad, and Howie Roseman hasn't traded for a cornerback or something yet. But the fact that Kirk Cousins went off didn't really, I don't know if it shocked anyone, but it seemed like a whole bunch of the fantasy experts were all down on him, which was kind of strange. But that's something Ramey could have done, and I could have seen him doing, picking up Kirk Cousins against his own defense because he knows how bad they are. But I was surprised he didn't, so I swooped in and grabbed him instead of playing Carson, who had a decent game as well. But anyway, there's no drops of the week, so we're just gonna move on to the PR rankings. So number 10, we got Sterling. Sterling, you are trading away your picks for next year, so I don't, or trading away your players for picks next year, so I don't think you're shocked to see yourself this low. Um, I was wrong about some of your running backs, though. Tevin Coleman's been doing really good since he's been back. Um, Gallup is a nice handcuff now that Cooper might be out for this week or whatever, so Williams is also probably not going to play with his plantar fasciitis. So you've got lots of injuries still, and really you're looking a little bit thin on your bench. So hopefully you can maybe turn it around with some good pickups, or maybe you're just calling it and you're gonna just try and win the wax ball. So we'll see kind of where you land there, but it's not looking great for you, especially considering what happened last week with that kind of dead performance. All right, Dylan, number 9. Dylan's moving up, and I feel like his team is a lot better than 1-5. He put up 130 plus points against me last week. Couldn't squeak out the victory, but he finally got his first this week. Um, his receiving core is dirty even after getting rid of Cortland Sutton. Like he's gonna be sitting Fitzgerald or Robinson every week, or even Beckham. So he might still even be able to trade a few more to get some better running backs. Although Montgomery and Michel's been doing very good as of late. Um, he's actually been finding the holes and he's been running enough to get Dylan some points. And Montgomery kind of expected more from him, especially being the second overall pick. But um, I feel like his time might be coming up soon that he might be able to get some more points. Kyler Murray is going to be just roasting these next few weeks. He's got some pretty cake matchups, and yeah, he's been showing with his arm and his leg that he has good fantasy value, and Dylan might be able to sell off Dak Prescott. But if Ramey's not interested, I don't think anyone else is going to be interested. Yeah, let's move on to the next guy. I'm trying to keep it faster, being solo here. Antoine, moving down one spot. Um, yeah, Barkley's gonna be back, so it kind of feels weird moving him down. But um, yeah, he's just gotta. His players have got to show it. Kind of, they're a little bit week in and week out. You can't really trust them. His receivers are very boom bust, very touchdown dependent receivers. Kind of all of them. Um, they kind of predicate their game as touchdown. They're not really high yardage players. Kenny Galladay's kind of breaking that mold a little bit as of late. He's been balling out there for the Lions. Um, yeah, he's finally playing the Vikings defense after stashing him for the year, so this might be the second time he played him. Very smart. He doesn't have Adrian Peterson in because he knows that that last game was probably a flash in the pan, was playing Miami. And Gardner Minshew is still that starting quarterback. He's got a cake matchup as well versus Cincinnati, so he's hoping to ride that for a little bit and then probably slots Stafford in back when he's not playing his own defense. James at number 7. I could have maybe moved him up one more spot, but for now I'm gonna keep him here. He's showed over the past 2 weeks that this is a good team that just needed, um, not necessarily to warm up, but just he finally has all his players clicking. I said like 3, 4 weeks ago, he's got a lot of good players. There's a lot of good on this team that once everything clicks, it's gonna start rolling. So I don't want to say I called it, but I called it. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady's got great quarterbacks. His running backs are solid with Jacobs, Mack, Mixon, and Breida on the bench. He's got his receivers are still kind of shaky, but Lockett's pretty good. Week in, week out, he's a little boom bust. Stephon Diggs is finally getting his points, his targets, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up or if they're going to go back, revert to the run offense and kind of storm through. And Mike Williams is getting lots of air yards, not really converting that well, but we'll kind of see. And Austin Hooper's breakout tight end this year. Him there's only a few breakout tight ends, but I would say he's kind of the top one compared to Andrews and Waller, I would say. Uh, and yeah, Auden Tate had some pretty acrobatic catches last game, so he's looking like a decent stash on the bench until at least AJ Green gets back. All right, number 6, we got Tyson. Tyson ended up losing last week, I believe. Um, Not a very good game for him, and yeah, he's on the downturn here. He's got Gurley hopefully coming back, and it's kind of weird to have a sort of injury prone running back and not having one of the two handcuffs. So it's kind of an interesting tactic to go with, but at least he has Aaron Jones' handcuff and Jamal Williams because Jamal Williams could easily become the starter. Everyone was all gaga about Aaron Jones and his 4 touchdown game. I was like, well, they almost like Jamal Williams more. They're playing him more. Aaron Jones had that really crappy drop for that would have been a touchdown. Um, but Jamal Williams has been solid. He's been giving them what they need, and he hasn't made many mistakes. And other than the injury, he's been great this year. Josh Allen with Buffalo. Buffalo's got super easy matchups these next 4 or 5 weeks. So Josh Allen's going to be a play for him while Rodgers kind of rots on his bench um, because he has not been playing that well this year. He, for fantasy wise, I guess he's been leading the team to a 5-1 record, which is good for football, but fantasy wise, you don't really want anything to do with him for now. Hopkins should have better games, Crowder as well with Darnold back. Um, I'm worried about Brandon Cooks in this offense, in the Rams offense. They have they went from one of the best, I think it was third for least amount of pressures last year, to their last this year for most pressures. Um, so the defense is getting to Jared Goff faster, and it's making it so he has to dump it off to Cup or Woods or Gerald Everett, which isn't giving any time for Brandon Cooks to get open downfield. So that's kind of why he's losing a whole lot of his looks. So it's kind of tough for him to get any points there. Um, he's playing the lottery, trying to win big with Darren Fells and the tight end for Houston. Um, he's had a lot of injuries at tight end with Vance McDonald and Will Disley, so he's hoping that Fells might stick. And yeah, he's still got Antonio Clown on the bench. He's hoping that he comes back and that Curtis Samuel trade looks like it's paying off versus Ronald Jones, who has been a little bit MIA. Josh, you lost to Nick, man. That's gotta feel bad, especially since you're talking a big talk before the game. Matt Ryan's been looking real good though for your team. Um, you actually don't have a QB carousel, so you just slot him every week and you play him because that Falcons team is bad, so they're gonna have to be throwing a lot. Dalvin Cook kind of had a little bit of an off game, I believe, but can't really blame him. Um, against that Eagles run defense. They're really stout up front. Julio Jones, you kind of expect more from him, but he's still producing a little bit. Cooper Kupp had a very weird off game because Goff threw for 78 yards, so you don't really see a 78-yard game from a QB that often. Cortland Sutton's going to fill in nicely for you while Josh Gordon is injured slash not really performing. And Hunter Henry, that was a nice pickup. I could have maybe done that as pickup of the week, actually, now that I think about it, because I was a dud for dropping him, even though I thought he was going to take a lot longer to get back, but Hunter Henry's looked solid. Melvin Gordon. The Chargers are playing worse with Melvin Gordon, and I don't know if they're if it's because they're trying to force it or what, but it seems like they're playing a lot worse. You got all your depth running backs just sitting on the bench waiting for them to go, and you're not getting an 11th for Deontay Johnson. I'm sorry, no one wants a clogger on their bench at receiver when they can just pick one up for free off the waiver. And the Walrus got paid. He got paid good money, like 9 mil a year. So they're gonna want to feature him in that offense and continue to feature him. So all right, Nick, number 4. We moving you up, Nick. I understand where you're coming from. That you are angry that you aren't getting the respect. But you're finally showing that you can beat those top teams. I mean, it was Josh, so not necessarily a top team, but we'll give it to you. You got rid of your quarterback carousel, so now you're gonna be stuck with Jackson, which is good because you don't have to worry about which one do I play each week. But it's also bad because you don't really have the safety of having a second one in case. I mean, you picked up Sam Darnold, but he's no Deshaun Watson. Um, yeah, Mark Ingram, I feel like he's got um, all his touchdowns near the start of the year, and they might start going down. But then again, that offense is pretty good, so and they like giving him the ball near the red zone, so he's gonna still be eaten, I think, for a little bit longer. Leonard Fournette's been beasting without touchdowns, so once he starts getting those touchdowns, he'll get even more points. Thielen is the number 1 target for the Vikings. He is the number 1. Like Diggs is good, but Thielen is doing a lot with the targets he's getting. I saw a meme where Diggs was saying, "Why does he have why does Thielen get more points than I do or something?" It's like we're getting the same amount of targets, but I do more with them. It's true. Thielen does a lot more with his targets than Diggs does, and it's showing in the points. T.Y. Hilton's going to be that nice receiver 2, 3 for you with Tyler Boyd, and that's a nice tight end upgrade, as I said before. But you might not even have to play that dud Mike Evans every week with this receiving core now, so that's pretty good. Carlos Hyde's got a lot of touchdowns, but I want to read off a stat here about Carlos Hyde. Um, his last 16 touchdowns, so this is since 2017. This is the yardage that he's had on all those touchdowns. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 6, 8, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 2. So he's only getting his touchdowns if he's at least 3 yards from the end zone. Like he does not break off big runs for touchdowns because he doesn't really have that speed or he's not that great of a running back. I feel like he's showing up because um, they're kind of the defenses might be a little bit scared of Watson, but I mean he's still getting the yardage, so there's nothing really to complain about there. But he's not breaking off any of those long touchdown runs that you'd kind of expect from a RB2 like Nick says he is. All right, Jaden. Jaden couldn't beat me this week, so he's moving down. Well, he's not moving down because he couldn't beat me, but he's moving down because someone else is moving up. Patrick Mahomes, since that ankle injury, is looking not worth the first round pick, I would say. He's still got the second most fantasy points in the league for QBs. That's behind Russell Wilson. So you kind of expect, well, if he's not even top one, I don't think he was worth reaching for that much. But um, once he gets healthy, he could skyrocket back up because that's the player he is. He is so good when fully healthy, it seems. Um, Le'Veon Bell's got Darnold back, and he really appreciates it because he got his first touchdown since 2017. Well, I mean, he was out all of 2018 because he wanted to be, but he still got his first touchdown of the year, I believe, on the ground. Austin Eckler is still going to be in that Chargers offense, even though Melvin's back. Although his ceiling has gone down like crazy, and Allen's lost a lot of his target share. I think he's down to 14% over these past 2 weeks since Melvin's back. So that's kind of shocking and a little bit scary out of Jaden's receiver one. And he's got McLaurin, who's just just pulling like he's not really pulling off an OBJ season, a rookie season, but I mean it's darn close. Like Terry McLaurin's a top two wide receiver, or top or wide receiver two, sorry, every given week. Uh, yeah, you got a little bit of injuries that you're fighting through, but overall this team's looking pretty good and trying to get back in the win column after 2 losses in a row. Ramey, number 2. Um, this team's just good. He's got some injuries and he has a lot of buys this week. So the starters might not look very good this week, but um, that's only this week. Next week, his starters are going to look just fine when Adams may return. Christian McCaffrey will be in the starting lineup, and so will probably DJ Moore if Adams can't be in there. Yeah, he's got really solid players. David Johnson's kind of returning back to form. He's the RB6 on the year. Um, George Kittle is finally getting those points that Ramey needs because his points for this year is sort of lacking. But when you look at this team, you can't really rank them any lower. We had before, but that's when Jaden's team was going bonkers. Oh, not much else to say. Sammy Watkins has kind of been a letdown with the injury and just the way he's performed with Tyreek Hill out. And now that Tyreek Hill's back, Sammy Watkins might not be much more than a receiver 4, honestly. All right. Um, I don't know. I can talk about the bad things about my team. The bad thing, Damian Williams had 2 touches. He still got a touchdown on one of those 2 touches, but he only had 2 touches, which is kind of scary for Kansas City. Um, Another running back who did not do very good, Ronald Jones. He had 4 touches. Yes, he had a touchdown, but he only had 4 touches. So really, it's kind of scary the depth that I have at running back. I have Darrell Henderson in the flex right now. That's if Todd Gurley isn't playing, and Malcolm Brown actually has an ankle injury as well. So if they're both out, Darrell Henderson's going to be an amazing play for me, I hope, against that crappy Atlanta defense. But if they're in, I probably won't end up playing them. Um, I'm feeling a little bit scared this week facing off against James, especially given that my number 1 running back and my number 1 receiver are both on bye, and my number 2 running back and number 2 receiver for the Saints play the Bears this week, so that's fun. Kamara might not even play, so I might have to put in Latavius Murray, so we'll see. Um, Things are not looking up for me this week, but throwing the pity party out, you know? All right, let's get to the stonk market and the playoff report. So I kind of put the uh, PR tiers in here just to show kind of how I feel about it. Um, it matches the colors of the previous slides. As you can see, I find myself the favorite, being 6-0. That's kind of self-explanatory. We've got 4 other playoff bound teams, I feel. Ramey, Jade, Nick, and Josh. Um, I feel like maybe I'll say maybe Jaden and like Josh and Nick can maybe move down into the wild card spot, but that's only if like their teams kind of play lower than expectation or lower than what they have been playing lately. And teams like James or Tyson can move up in there. Um, James has been pushing for that wild card spot, and Dylan is kind of a sneaky wild card spot play right now, just with his crazy receiver core. And if he grabs a good running back, he'll be stonk up. All right, and we got these week 7 matchups. So I've highlighted 3 teams because those 3 teams haven't changed their name. Like, at least put a name. It looks bad. Team 3, Team 4, Team 10. Like, come on. At least put something down. You can be Woat like me and put like Noah's Mighty Men, or Woat like Nick and put Nick's Best Turkeys, but at least make a team name. Um, yeah, like I said, I'm scared about my matchup against James, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. I might lose. Um, Tyson Twan, I kind of think Tyson wins that, but you never know. His team's been underperforming as of late. The big matchup is Jaden versus Nick, I think. Um, that's kind of like for third spot in PR right now, so they're kind of duking it out to be behind Ramey and I. And yeah, the matchup to really pay attention to, because I heard that Dylan might not be happy if he loses this week, and he might want to come onto the PR and rant about it. Is yeah, if Dylan loses to the very bye riddled and injury riddled team of Ramey, so we'll kind of see what happens there. Anyway, I didn't really make this too much shorter, but it's slightly shorter. Um, I will see you guys next week, hopefully with Josh and maybe with a guest. And good luck, everyone. Stay little dicks.